Around the world, countless mysterious cases have remained unsolved for decades. These perplexing stories often stem from lack of evidence, technological limitations, or other obstacles, yet as time passes, justice sometimes prevails. Today we're going to take a look at the top 7 unsolved mysteries that were finally cracked, bringing closure to families and communities after years of uncertainty. Number 1. The tragic case of Amelia Jackson and Cheryl Morray. One of the most poignant and tragic cases involves Amelia Jackson and Cheryl Morray, two young women whose disappearance in May of 1971 remained a haunting mystery for nearly 5 decades. Amelia and Cheryl, fresh off their graduation in South Dakota, were on their way to meet friends for a celebration in Blue Creek. However, they never made it to the party, and their whereabouts remained unknown. Years passed with no leads, until a passerby in 1971 noticed a car tire sticking out of the water. This mysterious sighting didn't lead to any answers at the time, and the case went cold. It wasn't until 2019, almost 48 years later, that the truth finally surfaced. The car was discovered, along with the women's personal belongings, confirming the tragic conclusion that they had died in a car accident. What makes this case even more chilling is the fact that a man had spent nearly 30 years in prison after allegedly confessing to the crime. His admission led to his conviction, and he was incarcerated for decades. However, it was later revealed that his confession had been false. The injustice was uncovered too late. He had served almost 3 decades for a crime he didn't commit. After the truth came to light, the man was released from prison and compensated with $400,000 from the state for the wrongful conviction, though no amount of money could erase the years lost. Number 2. The tragic deaths of Elizabeth and Marsha Ohms. In 1995, a chilling double tragedy unfolded in Connecticut as the bodies of a mother and daughter, Elizabeth and Marcia Ohms, were discovered under mysterious and unsettling circumstances. Elizabeth was found lifeless in a store, and just 1 week later, Marcia's body was discovered 40 kilometers away, eerily under similar conditions. Despite an extensive investigation, the case quickly grew cold, with no evidence and no suspects to lead authorities closer to the truth. Years passed with the case hanging unresolved, until an anonymous tip suddenly illuminated the darkness. The caller suggested that the killer might be the very person closest to the victims, the family's patriarch, Robert Holmes. Confronted with the tip's details, Robert shockingly confessed to the brutal murders of his wife and daughter. This devastating revelation finally brought an end to the years of unanswered questions and provided a tragic closure to a case that had haunted the community for far too long. Number 3. The long-awaited justice for Jamie Morton and Patricia Dwyer. The cases of Jamie Morton and Patricia Dwyer shocked the community, both remaining unsolved for over 40 years. On November 10, 1977, 17-year-old Jamie was last seen making plans with a friend, only to vanish without a trace. Her body was later found in her car on the outskirts of the city, but no answers surfaced. Just 2 months later, 28-year-old Patricia Dwyer was discovered dead in her home, her hands bound. Despite extensive investigation, no clear evidence emerged, and the cases grew cold. It wasn't until 2019 that a breakthrough occurred when Martin Martinez, a convicted robber, was arrested. DNA from a razor blade found at Patricia's crime scene matched Martinez, confirming his role in the murders. Sadly, by the time justice was served, he had already passed away from cancer. Though delayed, the truth finally brought closure to these heartbreaking cases. Number 4. The tragic disappearance of Janet Taylor. In 1974, 21-year-old Janet Taylor, a university student from Canada, disappeared while traveling to Palo Alto, California. Last seen hitchhiking, her sudden disappearance left a trail of unanswered questions. More than a day later, her father contacted the police, but it wasn't until her body was found in the water that the tragedy began to take shape. Despite efforts, no suspects were identified at the time. In a remarkable turn of events, DNA linked her case to Younger Trip, a man convicted of similar crimes in 2019. The discovery provided long overdue closure, finally revealing the truth behind Janet's untimely death and offering her family the answers they had waited decades for. Number 5. The mysterious death of Edith Silva. The 1982 disappearance of Edith Silva baffled authorities for years. A young woman's body was found at Lake Tahoe, Nevada, but her identity remained a mystery, despite investigators' attempts to trace her origins through her clothing. The case lingered in the shadows, unresolved for over 3 decades. In 2017, thanks to the ENEA Project, a volunteer-driven initiative dedicated to solving cold cases, the true identity of Edith Silva was revealed. She was the daughter of Italian immigrants from Michigan. Further investigation led to the identification of Richard Curry as the man responsible for her death, bringing long-awaited justice to her case and giving her family the answers they had desperately sought for 35 years. Number 6. The unsolved mystery of Pamela Malad. Pamela Malad's disappearance in 1972 left her family and the community in shock. After attending a sorority party in Indiana, Pamela was last seen leaving with a group of friends. Yet, she was never seen again. Her body was later discovered in her car, but a lack of evidence caused the case to grow cold. Despite numerous efforts, the truth remained elusive. In 2019, however, advances in DNA technology reignited the investigation. DNA evidence found at the scene led to a breakthrough, linking the crime to Jeffrey Lipman, who was eventually convicted for Pamela's death. The case, which had haunted her loved ones for nearly 5 decades, was finally resolved, providing closure to a long unsolved tragedy. Number 7. The 50-year-old mystery of Susan Galvin. The tragic story of Susan Galvin, a beloved church choir member from Seattle, remained unsolved for over half a century. In 1967, Susan went missing, and her body was later found in an elevator in downtown Seattle. At the time, forensic technology was limited and no leads emerged, leaving her case to remain in the cold files for decades. It wasn't until 2019 that a significant breakthrough was made. Advances in DNA testing allowed investigators to link Frank Uep, a man who had passed away years earlier, to Susan's murder. The identification of Uep brought the long-awaited closure to a case that had haunted the Seattle community for over 5 decades, offering solace to Susan's family and bringing justice to a victim lost far too soon. These 7 cases are powerful reminders that even after decades of mystery and pain, justice can eventually find its way to the truth. The answers may come late, but they offer a sense of relief to those who have longed for closure. If you know of any similar cases that have been resolved recently, feel free to share in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and follow us for more updates. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.